Good morning, dear friends. The whole subcontinent has been drowned in sadness due to sad happenings in Kashmir and then in Quetta, capital of Balochistan. In occupied Kashmir, in Indian held Kashmir, today is the 36th day of curfew claimed upon people of Kashmir. And last week, a source was able to communicate regarding happenings in Anantnag, Islamabad area of Indian held Kashmir, that protesters are being attacked by Indian security forces and were injured at large scale. But then there is no information from any source inside Indian held Kashmir from the last few days. From media sources, what I have received is the information which I have received is that today is the 36th day of curfew, and curfew means total closure of shops, medicine shops. Life is being brought to standstill there for the people of Indian held Kashmir. Well, it is really ironic in such a civilized world which we are living today. The use of a specific gun which damages the eyes of young protesters in Kashmir, that is something really very cruel. And cruel are the deeds of Indian army there. Media sources here, they are revealing the data that around 80,000 young girls are being raped by Indian army so far. So this is too much. I mean, all that is happening in an age when humans have reached to perfection in many respects. If you look towards Europe, towards America, the story is altogether different there. Though sometimes they do feel the heat because of the over-militarization of the world. Terrorist incidents, they do occur there too. The most tragic part of the story is that here of Kashmir is that all the voices of reasons within India are being silenced almost. A friend of mine had thrown a link on Facebook to me in which I came across a video on an Indian TV channel. A young lady, a journalist, Mehra, and an elderly journalist, John Dial, were literally threatened by the anchor because they were questioning the Kashmir policy of Indian government and of Indian army. Both these journalists were literally threatened by the anchor of leveling treason charges against them. Though India is also a UN member country, and all the UN member countries, uh, they become a member of UN when they adopt the fundamental rights clauses of UN Charter into their constitutions. So the freedom of expression is there. Besides Indian anchor, that specific anchor, I don't want to name him. Sometimes people do such things to get publicity, you know. So if I encourage that guy, he might start terrorizing every voice of reason within India. So not all of them are deterred by such threats within India. Another journalist had confessed that Indian army is using obsolete tactics of violence to calm down the uprising or to control the uprising within Indian occupied Kashmir. Sources inside Kashmir have reaffirmed last week that they will fight for freedom until death. And one of a lawyer plus journalist in India, he was of the view that colonial tactics are being used by Indian army. Well, his point needs some more elaboration. If we go to the colonial age, I have interviewed a lot of elderly people, and they say that situation in subcontinent was not that bad as it is today. In police stations, proper investigations used to be conducted, and the courts were delivering justice to the people. And except that General Dyer's activity in Jallianwala, where mass killings were done, we don't have many incidents of violence there during colonial age in India of that scale, which is going on there in Kashmir, occupied Kashmir right now. Besides being a monitoring officer, I used to uh, read about my own region, and most of the authentic stuff was provided to me. That was writings of British commissioners and deputy commissioners and army officers. they were keenly interested in development of subcontinent, railroads, bridges, that immense infrastructure created by Great Britain from Waziristan till Raskumari, that is unimaginable even today in independent subcontinent. So we must learn good things from our colonial rulers, and while handling violence in Kashmir, as I have concluded in my previous video, that we have only one way out, and that is plebiscite. And that can be held with the consent of both India and Pakistan there in Kashmir, so they can determine their future, whether they want to live with Pakistan or with India. India is having edge because if we apply the partition formula, there is no plebiscite is needed, because in partition formula that was being decided that all the majority Muslim majority areas will be included in Pakistan, and Hindu majority areas will go to India. So while accepting the plebiscite formula for the resolution of Kashmir problem, Pakistan has lost something, a real right over Kashmir, which is having a geographical affinity with Pakistan, with the mainland, and which is a Muslim majority area. So just to avoid further bloodshed and all that, Pakistan had accepted that UN resolution. So India shall consider this. I mean, why shall be a solution of Kashmir problem, which paves the way of making the whole subcontinent a permanent bleeding wound, which it has become, because the happenings in Quetta, the recent happenings, in which lawyers and journalists were martyred in a bomb explosion. The ISI sources, intelligence sources in Pakistan, they have communicated to the journalists through the cartoons that Indian Ra was involved in it. So, why they are so cruel, I don't know. Why they are involved in such a large scale bloodshed within Indian held Kashmir, within Pakistan. Maybe some sort of the hatred cultivated in Indian leadership during past few decades, that is now reflecting itself. And that reflection is very bloody and shall be controlled. that is not a concern of only people living here in Pakistan. Those voices of reason which are there within India and who are in majority, in fact, they are openly questioning, even students are openly questioning a policy of Indian government and army in Kashmir. In fact, we people living in subcontinent, we are very proud of our culture and civilization. Normally, whenever we talk about our culture, we say that our culture is 3,000 years old and we are very civilized, and actually we are very civilized. I don't know who are the proponents of Kashmir policy of India. How can they think of spreading such bullets through specific guns which can damage the eyes of the younger ones who are just asking for freedom? Is it such a big crime? People of Kashmir, they were bought and sold during days of Maharaja Hari Singh. Throughout the history, they are in trouble. And why it is so? Because their land is beautiful and they by themselves are beautiful and very cultured people. And they were unable to resist those who came to buy and sell them. I hope the international community will be soon able to realize the gravity of situation there. Since long people of Kashmir are suffering, and as all the wise people say, that we cannot keep the sufferings limited to a specific area. Those sufferings, they spread all around the world. Hot pursuits in Asia, specifically in Afghanistan, there the over militarization of this region, the impact of it has been witnessed there in the United States of America too. In 9/11, finally USA had to come under UN umbrella to find the culprits who had initiated the 9/11 attacks on US soil. So the more we will become able to resolve our problems peacefully, the better it will be for the humanity at large. The debates which are going on TV, on Indian TV channels, they are trying to silence Pakistani participants when they raise the issue of India's negative role in East Pakistan during 1971 East Pakistan crisis, which was finally separated from West Pakistan and now is independent state of Bangladesh. This is all very unrealistic. We are living in a very different world now. And old ideas of regional hegemony, balance of power, which I often term that balance of power theories, they pave the way for arms race in different regions of the world. Even deterrence, that concept is also, a catalyst regarding arms race, nuclear arms race. Because to deter each other, both nuclear belligerent nuclear powers or contending nuclear powers, they make more and more nuclear arms to deter each other and to maintain that balance of power. So we must come up with something new. Arms race is actually a pollutant which is making our lives difficult. Then the concepts of high standard of living, certain facilities which are environment friendly, certain inventions which are environment friendly are good. But the time has proved that most of the inventions to raise the standard of living of the people are not so environment friendly. So the nations like China, they have accepted the present day realities, and despite of ideological differences, they are working together with Americans to clean the oceans. Actually, this world is for the humans, and all those ideas are good, which can pave the way for excellent human existence. In an excellent environment in which human species along with other species can survive. Not only can survive but can live a good life. So another scholarly friend who is an American but knows Urdu as well, he came up with the idea that Kashmir shall be divided between India and Pakistan, but some autonomy shall be given to the people of Kashmir, and both India and Pakistan shall manage their defense and foreign policy. It is also a good idea. And through East Pakistan uh, experience, I'm not an emotional person. I do not take things in a way my other country fellows do take. I don't have any. When it comes to human existence in a free, in an environment of freedom and happiness, uh, I do not insist on uh, keeping them oppressed. So in Bangladesh, I have observed, and it is not only my observation. Most of the people, most of the opinion polls regarding happiness, they say that most happiest people on earth are the people of Bangladesh now. And it is my observation that they are much more realistic than people of India and Pakistan. Recently, when their spokesman have said that no, Pakistan was not involved in attacks in Dhaka, they have uh, their own terrorist organization in their own country, which is involved in that. That reflects that they are realists, and their economic policies and their love for secularism and democracy. That also reflects that they are much more realistic than India and Pakistan. India is a secular state, but actually it's a Hindu state. Even it is not a Hindu state, as I have mentioned earlier, that in case of Nepal, which is the Hindu kingdom, they had stopped their aid. Nepal is a landlocked country, and their aid was stopped when they were hit by earthquake. Uh, the only route to them was through India, and India had stopped their aid just to influence their internal politics. So I don't know the type of hatred which they are having, the Indian establishment which is having regarding their neighbors, because the people of India, they are all perfectly all right. They're coming and going to Pakistan, intermarriages are there. Recently, a very sad happening uh, had made me sad. Here in Kohat, a young lady, an Indian lady, who was married to a Pakistani boy in Dubai, and in accordance with the tradition of here in Kohat, she was living here from the last 15 days in her own home, and her husband, as usual, was working in Dubai. She became a mother of two daughters and a son, and finally she was shot at by greedy relatives of her husband. That was a police report. So all the four relatives of her husband, two women and two men, are being arrested now. So Indians and Pakistanis when they get near to it. And that girl, Aisha, she was Sikh girl, Indian converted. She was a converted Muslim. I had observed that in United States of America, that all my colleagues, they used to demand at the time of dinner that Mr. James Warner, to our escort, that find an Indian restaurant for us so we can have some food there. It was only me who was happy everywhere because I can eat beef steaks and all that, though uh, my colleagues, they were in habit of eating the only Asian food. So, and in Indian chain of restaurants, we used to eat in the evenings, and we never felt bad while interacting with each other. And they were serving us with great love and care. And same is the case when they become together in Dubai, they got married to each other. So why they are so inimical while to each other while living in India and Pakistan? Who is cultivating that scale of hatred between them? In Pakistan, we are not being, our brains are not being contaminated by hatred of India, neither in school nor in our homes. And we never had paid any heed to anyone who was doing so. Here in Pakistan, elections are not being fought on Kashmir issue or upon the basis of hatred against India. But ironically, in India, it is so that mostly Indian election campaigns, they revolve around hatred against Pakistan. Indians very cruel and strange stance over Kashmir. These are always the focus of Indian politicians during election campaigns there. That shall not be like this. In nuclear age, subcontinent is it now in nuclear age. We shall learn and we shall swiftly learn to resolve our problems in peaceful manner. In United States of America, people, when I talk to them regarding India and Pakistan and the happenings around us, many of them, they feel sympathy and sometimes they start laughing too because on the foolies of the, the concept when we discuss that we have politicians pleading for democracy without having democracy in their own political parties. Both in India and Pakistan, it is so. So, in simple words, they don't practice what they preach. Without having a democracy within your own political party. Last night, a major of Pakistan Army had cracked a joke that on Facebook that while buying 2 kg of honeydews, our each citizen spends 2 hours smelling each honeydew, whether it will be sweet or sour. And while electing a leader, they don't even think for a second because they always make a wrong choice. Same is the case with India. Actual problem is that there is no democracy within political parties. So we cannot filter the wrong stuff out. We have recently seen and observed there in United States of America, so many candidates were there, both of Republican Party and of Democratic Party. And now finally, people have voted. People, those who were enrolled both in Democratic Party and Republican Party as voters, as their members, they have voted in each state of United States of America. And finally, Madam Hillary Clinton is now a candidate, a presidential candidate of Democratic Party, and Donald Trump the Great is now candidate of a Republican Party. So rest of the stuff which was not so capable, they're all good people, but somehow people are the best judge. So at first stage, that filtration process is there. Then they have a checks and balance, system of checks and balances, and they can impeach the president even if he is not behaving in a constitutional manner. They can impeach the judges of Supreme Court if they are not going or doing well, if they are not doing their job well. All the constitutional methods are there, and we do have these methods in our constitutions too. But there is no democracy within our parties. So political parties are like mafias. Once they are being elected and they are there in the National Assembly and Senate, that's all. I mean, there is no chance of any sort of impeachment. The process is there. That constitutional process is there in written form within the Constitution, but cannot be initiated because the mafias are there. Members are members of the mafia that do not defy their masters, their bosses. So that is why in India now whatsoever wrong is being done in Kashmir, Indian Parliament I don't think will ever throw out the Prime Minister who is executive head, or the President of India who is the Supreme Commander of Indian Armed Forces. No impeachment can be on the cards because the mafia bosses, they are mafia bosses. Their political party members cannot think even going against their words. They don't have a democracy within their political parties. Gradually, things will improve. Let me narrate a very funny story to all of you. Certain things are abhorrent to our minds, okay? Because of our cultural environment. We are a product of our social environment. So obviously, when we are exposed to United States of America or to Great Britain, where the culture is altogether different, all their practices are abhorrent to our mind. When I had decided to do MPhil in US studies, almost everybody has tried to stop me. Don't do this. I said, why? A senior has told me that 7 seniors of yours, they have tried to do MPhil in US studies. Seniors of mine mean those who are from my province, because in Qaid-e-Azam University we have quota system. From all the provinces we come. I was on top on merits of NWFP. That was Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was NWFP at that time, because the written test and interview was there. And while seeking admission there, you had to appear. I did my master's in international relations from there, and when I have decided to take admission in MPhil, all the seniors, they came to me and they said, no, 7 people from your province, they have tried to do MPhil in US studies, but the whole subject is abhorrent to their minds. They are intelligent people. They are all now civil servants. They had completed their civil services exams, and they are big officers now, except one who had opted for jobs in NGO and all that, and now he's running a big NGO. After doing some courses from United States of America, he came back, and initially he was a failure in Area Study Center while doing MPhil in US studies. I said, no problem, I can. My mind is open to new ideas, and I want to. I am curious enough, and I definitely love to study US political system, their foreign policy, their economy, their history, and there will be no problem. So finally, I was the first one who had got that MPhil degree in US study from my province. From KP, I was the first one who got MPhil degree in US study. Why other 7 seniors of mine from my province were unable to do that? Because they cannot even think of having a system where people are enrolled as voters in political parties, they are making choices within the political parties, then they're voting for uh, local governments. Even judges are being elected there in United States of America in some of the states. They're electing their own city police chiefs and all that through votes. So such things were abhorrent to the mind of people living here in my province especially. And that's why they were unable to complete the coursework. And interestingly, while doing MSc from Qaid-e-Azam University in social or natural sciences, you're having one chance if in one semester you are on probation, if you have failed a subject or something like that, or you have scored little, then you are having one chance to improve. But in MPhil there is no chance. If you have failed one course, you are a gone case during coursework. So it was really a tough task for me, and I still remember that my senior, especially later who became my professor too, Khalid Rashid, he was very kind and encouraging. When my first article came in University Magazine, then he was working there in English Daily Muslim. He came to me and he said, Raziq, you must write a column for the daily in which I am working. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And I used to pick, I still remember, my handwriting is not that good. So I used to bring that typewriter from the warden's office, and I used to type everything which I had written. I used to write mostly on Pakistani relations. Initially I was very realistic, but then the public pressure and people, as I have told the reasons why people become anti-US, or because the system, the democracy, the amount of freedom which is there, that is abhorrent to the, even their economic system is abhorrent to the minds of our people. So once they cannot understand it, they become allergic with it. Now that those who have taken such a harsh stance for Kashmir Indians, that Kashmir is an integral part of India, and are not in a mood to accept the partition formula or a plebiscite formula given by UN General Assembly. When they will open their minds to the world, to the ideas prevailing in a civilized world, they will feel ashamed of themselves. How a human can think of killing and of damaging the eyes of younger ones who are just demanding freedom in a disputed territory. This is really very cruel. We shall all realize this. And we shall not be in the habit of blaming colonial rulers all the times. They did too many good things, which even uh, at the scale which even after independence, after 70 or more years of independence, we are not uh, able to do that, especially in terms of infrastructure and justice system and police system. I sit with the elders and they tell me everything. That Sahibzada Sahab of Governor Inspection Team, he's a very kind elder. Once I was working with Daniel Aziz and ex-Director General uh, Cabinet Division Raja on a project of Governance Institutions Network International to dig out corruption in all the four provinces of Pakistan. So they had appointed me as coordinator of KP of this province. So I was assigned to meet with all these people who are in charge of various departments here in KP. Sahibzada has told me, Sahibzada Sahib has told me that FCR, that law which is here for tribal areas, that law was not very cruel in the days of British rule over the subcontinent. Later on, when after the partition of subcontinent, subsequent rulers of Pakistan are responsible for making FCR cruel. So this habit is not good to blame for your own cruel nature and deeds. I mean, blaming colonial masters, whatsoever the legacy which they had left here, that is not that bad. We shall mend our fences both in India and Pakistan, and we shall not be so cruel to our own people. And I guarantee to Indians, in Pakistan things are improved. The amount of freedom of expression which we are enjoying here, that is not even imaginable there in India. I had observed there in that video where that female journalist Mara and John Dayal, another elderly journalist, were threatened by an anchor that he will level treason charges against them, that they are questioning cruel Kashmir policy of Indian government. That is naive. 1 billion people in India and 1800 million people of Pakistan, they're all peace loving except few. And those few whom have created this situation, I suspect some problem is there with them, that they act in a maniac-like fashion with full vigor, run their they do run their political mafias as political parties. They claim that they are political parties. They capture the power, then they take a very cruel stance for Kashmir, especially in India. And their practices are quite visible there. In concluding remarks, I can again say that we must think over it. What we are doing right now in Indian Help Kashmir, that is not very human. That is not a reflection of our culture. That is not a reflection of our 3000 years old civilization. That is a reflection of a sick mind who is doing very cruel things to the humans living there in Kashmir. We must replace the old ideas to end cruelty. I again insist that indisciplined and cruel Indian army, 500,000 Indian army, shall retreat from Indian occupied Kashmir. They are doing more harm than good to their own cause. They will never be able to win the hearts and minds of people of Kashmir by closing their educational institution, by creating environment conducive for more militarization in Kashmir. When they will do rapes and when they will do killings, final output will be more militancy in Kashmir. That lady Mehbooba Mufti, I do hear everybody, I do listen to everybody before forming my opinion. She says that now people of Kashmir cannot send their children to schools because schools are closed. And education abroad is very expensive, they cannot afford. So the people of Kashmir are being plunged into ignorance. And she says that this is a conspiracy against the people of Kashmir. And yes, I agree with her. But that conspiracy is not based upon foresightedness. That is an outcome of a sick mind who feels happy while others are suffering. The conspiracy, the cruel deeds of Indian army are not going to strengthen Indian Federation in the long run. Because once the sick mind prevails, they will treat the people of Nagaland, which are fighting for for freedom within India with a with the same cruel way, in the same cruel way, and obviously in other parts of India where the freedom movements are there. So the whole the militarization of large scale in India will definitely result in end of Indian Federation. Finally, I think I've said enough all regarding the subject. In the end, I wish a very happy Independence Day to all, and I wish all the best to all of you.